What is going on, you guys? It's your boy Average Bob, and in today's video, we're going to touch on the Civil War, the Snoopy Bowl, the battle for MetLife Stadium between the New York Jets and the New York Giants. Two familiar foes that meet every 4 years. But before we dive into today's preview, I got to just give you a heads up. I had to drop this video a little bit earlier than I usually do, so some stuff will probably change with injuries and whatnot. I do have a little Average Bro's wedding coming up this weekend, so I had to drop the video on Wednesday. Obviously, some of the stuff's changed, but, we're super pumped up for the Average family to have a huge free agent acquisition and going to make an immediate impact day one starter. Looking forward to it. Diving into the matchup, though, we have the Jets as the -3 favorite versus the Giants. Both these teams, the Jets coming off a bye week. The week before, they beat the Eagles in a huge upset. No one had the Jets beating the Eagles that week. And obviously, it helped us out. It makes Giants fans happy. I, myself, love to root for the Jets because a lot of my friends are Jets fans, but really warmed my heart just seeing the Eagles take an L to the Jets. But let's get started talking about the Jets. Obviously, to start this season, the Jets had a major injury with Aaron Rodgers going down week one, play 3 with the torn Achilles, which kind of sucked because I really wanted to see Aaron Rodgers play with this offense because there are so many playmakers outside of Garrett Wilson, Breece Hall, and they just made a lot of improvements across the board. And this would have been exciting to see, bringing in so many other guys at the wide receiver position, and tight ends looking good too. So it would have been a lot of fun to see what Rodgers could do in this offense. And again, immediately you got to go back to Zach Wilson, who last year didn't look too great, and he's still trying to figure it out. I do want to touch on what I think the Jets need to do to be successful in this matchup versus the Giants. I think both teams' defenses are starting to play really good. The Jets have had a good, strong defense for the last number of years. Saleh is a defensive-minded head coach. But this matchup's going to come down to which team can run the ball better. Breece Hall and Saquon both have the opportunity to make massive plays out of really nothing. And I think that's ultimately going to be what this game is going to come down to, as the Jets have a banged up offensive line. The Giants also have a banged up offensive line. And the Giants have no weapons anywhere outside of the Saquon at running back. Tyrod Taylor looking to play again. Waller had his first touchdown last weekend. Finally good to see him get on the board versus Washington. But he is really the only weapon in the Giants offense outside of Saquon, who's finally starting to get going a little bit. Another thing to keep in mind for this matchup, just looking at the stats of passing yards per game so far this season, the Jets are in last place, in 32nd place with 159 passing yards. On the other side of things, the Giants don't fare too much better. They are 29th with 178 passing yards per game, which also puts them in the bottom of the barrel. It's hard to imagine, too, both of these teams are being so low from a passing yards perspective, because especially the Giants, where they have been blown out in so many games so far this year that how are they not passing for more yards? And it really comes back to both sides, too, also having banged up offensive lines. The Giants' offensive line did look a little bit better last weekend, but even then, they probably still gave up 5 or 6 sacks. And that's been the story for them all season. I'll look to the Jets to get a lot of pressure on the Giants. Who's ever playing quarterback, whether it's Daniel Jones or Tyrod Taylor, doesn't really matter. The Jets have a really good front seven. Jermaine Johnson's off to a good start this year. Quinnen Williams, obviously a stud, and I don't necessarily think any of the interior offensive linemen on the Giants can block Quinnen Williams. And conversely, same effect for Dexter Lawrence versus the Jets interior offensive line, because the Jets lost a couple key offensive starters in Joe Tippmann and Vera Tucker. And Vera Tucker was their best interior offensive lineman. He's gone now for the season, second straight year, which sucks. But it's funny to see from both sides of the equation. You have Dexter, who's so good, Quinnen Williams, who's so good, and they both have great matchups in front of them. And I got to give the edge to the Jets in this game because of what I mentioned before about the rushing attack and Breece Hall. The last 3 games, the Jets have averaged almost 144 yards per game rushing, which nets them second only after the Chicago Bears, which is interesting to see, kind of 2 bad teams having to rush the ball so much. And the Breece Hall explosive playmaking ability. Now, having said that, the Giants' defense has been playing pretty well the last few weeks in terms of cutting down on the big plays that you saw from the Seahawks game, the Cowboys game, all of these other games, the Dolphins game, these blowout games. The Giants have really cut down on that the last 2 weeks versus the Bills, which the Bills looked also bad last weekend too versus the Pats for the most part. And then the Commanders, who are also just a dog shit team. I don't even know how they're 3-3. But I do think the Jets will be able to stop or neutralize Saquon and force him to pass, where I think also with the Jets possibly not having Sauce Gardner playing, great defensive player. He was Defensive Rookie of the Year last year. Even if Sauce can't go, it's not a huge hole for the Jets because the Giants can't pass the ball. To wide receivers specifically, they really check down a lot to Saquon. They throw to Waller, who will likely have a safety or a linebacker on him. So Sauce not playing isn't going to have a huge impact because the Giants wide receivers, even though they did upgrade all of them this year, they don't do anything. There's no playmaking ability besides the occasional maybe bomb to Hyatt or Slayton. No one's done anything on this offense from wide receiver position standpoint. I think Shepard 2 weeks ago didn't play a snap. Paris Campbell doesn't even play on offense anymore. So you're looking at like Isaiah Hodgins and Wan'Dale Robinson just running routes out there for fun, never even getting even a looks. Yeah, this offense goes through two guys, Waller and Saquon. I think the Jets, with a defensive-minded coach and a pretty good defense, will figure out a way to neutralize it. I think this game is going to be ugly. My prediction for this game is 16-15. The Giants kick a field goal to beat the Jets at the buzzer. Anyway, let me know what you guys think, how this game's going to go. And if you like this video, please be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. And just a couple other things to finish the video with. I do want to touch on, if you're going to this game, especially if you're sitting in the upper deck, be safe, have fun. Let's not take it too serious. I know we're going to see videos of guys fighting and punching each other in the face on Monday and later Sunday night. But honestly, it's not worth it. But it's hard to say that when people are drinking, in an environment for 6, 7, 8 hours. And when you're up there and New Yorkers are loudmouthed and talking shit, eventually a fight happens. But hopefully that can be avoided at all costs because it's really, at the end of the day, not worth it, especially for how bad both of our teams are right now. Not that it would be worth it anyway. But yeah, hopefully after the wedding this weekend, we'll have a nice Jersey Shore watch party with the family and we can enjoy it. But anyway, if you guys made it this far, thanks for watching. Enjoy the game. And hey, at least the New York team will win this weekend.